What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Sal. We're going to be breaking down this NBA slate today. And let's just get straight to it. This is going to be one of the craziest. I'm going to project the craziest slate of the year. If not, once the games start, at least beforehand. Look, it's a 12-game slate with a week left in the season. And as you'll see over my shoulder behind me, that there's a laundry list. We have not even gotten to the whole thing. Look, I can scroll. This is the list of players that are some way or another on an injury report. It's about 50 players. Look, some of them I put on here are already out for the year, but it's just a reminder. They were recently ruled out for the year. There's some players that are probable and off the injury report. But for the most part, it's going to be pretty crazy. And not only that, if you've already looked at the salaries, which you may have, the salaries for today's slate are tight. They are extremely tight. You have a guy like Walt Lamont Jr., who was already priced up to $4,700 after being the stone minimum last game and only going for 22 fantasy points. There's no value, at least as of right now, on the cheaper end that you can really trust. Sure, there's some guys who can go in there and have a good game, but in terms of plugging it in and feeling confident about it, like we've had on previous slates, today, that's not so much there. You have guys like Ben Simmons, who's in a spectacular matchup. Overall best game situation in terms of the highest projected team total, highest total game. The pace is phenomenal. His matchup is phenomenal. $9,500. Sure, but how are you going to get there? That's something that you're going to have to work through. It's going to be a tough slate, but I love these slates because it's a lot harder for a ton of people, not just the individuals, but for the pros as well, especially when the salaries are tight. My biggest suggestion is not to build any lineups. Understand where the salaries are, understand where players are priced, but don't really start building lineups because, as I just mentioned, and we're going to go through them, there's a load of injury news right here. And the entire slate, I can 99% guarantee you, and I will put money down on it, will change by 7 o'clock, and it will change multiple times throughout the day. It's going to be a lot of work to keep up with. Keep up with the injury news. Do not force dust into your lineups. This is not a slate where you should be throwing dart throws with $3,000 to $4,000 players just to fit in James Harden or just to fit in Ben Simmons. This is a slate where you go to the 6 to 7K range, maybe up to the 8K range, and you get a couple of guys and you go more balanced. And because there's going to be a ton of players in that range that are starting with 30 to 35 minutes today, and they have 40 to 50 point real upside, I'd rather stack all of those players in that range and feel good about everybody in my lineup than trying to get a Ben Simmons or a James Harden and having 2 to 3 guys in my lineup who I really don't know if they'll even touch 20 to 25 points. I'd rather go secure, get guys in my lineups that I feel confident about 30 points out of with 40 point, 50 point real upside. That's what I'm looking at right now. Obviously, this whole slate can change. We can get news I would imagine that we're not even anticipating, and that can open up a ton more of cheaper end value. But DraftKings has become very aggressive for this slate in terms of every single player that you can look at for the most part is priced up. I looked through it briefly. I might be missing some names. There's some in there that are for sure value, but not the greatest at all. So without further ado, if you listen through that little monologue, my name is Sal Vetri. Welcome to the channel if you're new here. And what I do is I just cover daily fantasy sports. We'll be breaking down into the NBA slate for today. On Wednesday, this 12-game slate. I just want to quickly say, I'll mention the Discord. If you're not in the Discord, there's a link down below. It's just group texting, pretty much a website/app if you want to download it on your phone. And there's just a bunch of different channels. We're talking about all sports. You can hop into whichever one you feel comfortable with. You can just listen and see what people are saying, or watch, not listen. It's a good spot to be. Projections are above my head. You can get those down below on Patreon if you want to support me. You can also go down there. There's a donation link. And then lastly, I will just briefly touch on this. I want to just thank everybody in here. I'll go to my actual Twitter page. I just want to thank everybody in here for the people who participated in this. I'm going to leave it open for the rest of the week because we got a ton of great attention. So this is just, you can go to my profile. It's the pinned tweet. Pretty much, I'm running just a little contest. If you like this or heart this video, your name will get 1 vote. If you retweet it, you will get 2. And you can build these onto each other. And if you comment, you'll get 3. So you can get up to 6 votes for your name. And at the end of the week, I'll spin a wheel. I'll put everybody's name in it as many times as you voted or got your points here for this. And I'll pretty much just give free projections to whoever is picked. And if we end up getting an interview, at the very least an interview for this position, it's with CBS Sports as a fantasy editor, remote position, something that after college I would much rather do than go search for some office marketing or office HR job. If we can get at least an interview, I'll be giving free projections away from every single person in the Discord, whether you participated or not. Or actually, just if you participated, but I'll just be giving it away because this is where I want to go with my career. And the fact that this is an opportunity out there and I can build a video like this in a unique way and just apply for a job that was put out on Twitter is phenomenal. So appreciate anybody who wants to go over there. You can still go over there and comment. It's on my Twitter. My Twitter is linked below at SalVetriDFS. Really appreciate all you guys and girls who already went out there, said just some amazing and generous things. It's truly humbling. I love doing what I'm doing. I love getting up every single day and making a daily video, something that a year ago I would have said, how do you turn on a camera? Now I'm doing this every single morning. It's part of my routine. I love doing it. I cannot wait for the NFL. I cannot wait for it, WNBA, some sports that I actually enjoy playing on DFS. And some big things scheduled and planned ahead for the summer once school is over. Some things that I'm going to be working on and rolling out. I'm excited to announce coming up. So thank you guys. Thank you girls. Let's break down into this video. Let's win some goddamn money tonight, you know? Look, we got a long injury news and status here, right? I'm going to go through them quickly. I don't want to sit here for 45 minutes talking about injury news. I'm going to go through them quickly so we could actually talk about this slate in terms of strategy, maybe some games we could target on the target offense sheet. But it's a huge slate with a lot of question marks, so I want to try and talk about it objectively instead of subjectively, because a lot of things will probably change. And I will just go through and filter it by team because I think that's the best way to look at it. This is an absolutely insane list, the biggest one that I had. I knew that it would be nuts right when I started, and it did not disappoint. Just get this out of there. Perfect. All right, so starting with Atlanta, we have John Collins and Taurean Prince. They're on a back-to-back today, so these are just some of the players that were. Collins was out for rest yesterday. I have him in as probable right now. Prince was out yesterday with, I believe, his foot injury, and I just have him in as questionable for today, so keep an eye on that. Collins being back is going to hurt Deontay Davis. His minutes will probably go down. Alex Len should stabilize and get more minutes at the 5. Alex Len will not move over to the 4 like he did yesterday, which gave Davis more minutes. Davis I have projected for 15 minutes as of right now. Prince being questionable, if he's out, give a bump to your Bembry's, give a bump to your Kent Bazemore's, even your Justin Anderson's. If Prince is in, all 3 of those guys get significantly reduced. Jaylen Brown is doubtful today, so this is going to help Gordon Hayward. It's going to solidify his minutes. It'll solidify more of Jason Tatum's. The biggest bump will be to Gordon Hayward, who should see around 30 minutes. Al Horford had a good game last time out. Really tough matchup here today. He is probable. Nothing more there. Marcus Morris is questionable today, $5,200. Not an awful price for him, but with Aaron Baines starting, he's been coming off the bench, not somebody I'm interested in, especially in this matchup. Again, Horford would see a bump here. If Morris sat, you would most likely get Baines starting at the 5, Horford at the 4. More minutes for also Gordon Hayward. Jeremy Lamb is probable. Nothing to really talk about there. His minutes came down. They came back up. He's not getting his big minutes as much anymore. Around 25, 26 since Bacon and Miles Bridges have been playing really well. Marvin Williams is doubtful today, so this is pretty big because they're already really injury riddled at the 4 and the 5 at those big positions. Frank Kaminsky would open up some value if Williams is indeed out, which I would expect due to the doubtful tag. So Frank Kaminsky is going to get a bump. Willie Hernan-Gomez, who's been seeing in the low to mid 20s, more so the low 20s, would also get a little bit of a bump in terms of the value that you're kind of salvaging for on this slate. There is no Cody Zeller-Stove. There is still no Zach LaVine for Chicago. Chris Dunn is doubtful for Chicago, and Otto Porter is out. We already know Lauri Markkanen is out. This dust Chicago team remains dust. You have a $6,300 Shaq Harrison is probable today. Look, he's going to be playing mid, around 34 minutes, 35 minutes against a terrible Washington team that sucks at defending the guards. $6,300 though for Shaq Harrison. I believe there's a ton of better values in that price point, in that price range, but I don't think it's absolutely awful. He's going to have to be the most productive player on this team against a very bad defense. Luka Doncic is questionable today. Keep an eye on that. Trey Burke would open up some nice value. You will also get value in Jalen Brunson based on their price if Luka is out. If Luka is in at 8,800, he's one of the guys who is not priced correctly. He should be around 9,400, 9,500 in my opinion, at the very least a 9K player. Keep an eye on that. That could be a spot where you can get a stud who is underpriced on a slate where all the studs are overpriced or appropriately priced. Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't been playing a lot anyways, but he is questionable. If he is out, I really like Justin Jackson here. Solidifies his minutes. Also Maxi Klebers. Blake Griffin is questionable today. He is a game-time decision, to be more specific, against an Indiana team where this is a very big matchup in terms of the playoffs. You have the Nets, you have the Magic who play the Knicks today, so that's a very big bump for them. You have Detroit, and you have Miami, all who are separated by pretty much one game for the 6 through 9 spots in the playoffs. One of those teams is not going to make it. Brooklyn has a much tougher road. They play Toronto today. They still play the Sixers. They still play the Pacers in Miami, and I believe even maybe the Bucks one more time. So it's a game where in Detroit, they need to really have Blake Griffin in this game. If he's in, I expect him to be a full go. If he is out, Andre Drummond obviously picks up all that slack and should continue to be seeing 50-plus fantasy point nights based on the production he has to pick up. Luke Kennard, questionable. Not much really to point out there. Langston Galloway would see more opportunities if he is out. Wesley Matthews, he's going to be out with Darren Collison today. So Corey Joe and Tyreek Evans, both guys who will be getting over 30 minutes, both guys who are not really productive based on their price points. May open up some value potentially if you're trying to get there. Patrick Beverley, questionable today. Keep an eye on that. If he's in, he should be seeing low to mid 30s in minutes, right around 30, 32 minutes. If he's out, it'll be a little bit of a bump for Landry Shamet, but nothing spectacular. Also, maybe even Garrett Temple. Mike Conley is doubtful today, so this is big. You're going to get a $6,500 DeLon Wright, who has been playing phenomenal when Conley is out. 40-point games are pretty much the average there. He is one of the best values on this slate, in my opinion, if Conley is out. He's going up against Portland, which isn't the greatest of matchups, but keep in mind, no CJ McCollum and no Yusuf Nurkic. So those really nice Portland defensive ratings are going to be coming down very, very quickly, if not already. You're going to get a $4,800 Tyler Dorsey, who is maybe the best in terms of the minutes he should see, it being a point guard, no Mike Conley, so usage up. Maybe the best point per dollar value on the slate. I haven't really broken into the projections yet, but at $4,800, I would say he's appropriately priced. The last time out, I wouldn't look too much into that. I'd look into the overall sample of 6 or 7 games with no Conley, and for the most part, the majority of them are actually favorable. Joakim Noah is questionable, so we already have no Joe Val. He's done for the year. If Noah is out, it's just going to be Ivan Robb in terms of the bigs. I don't know who else is left, right? Jaren Jackson Jr. is out. They shipped away to the Clippers. They shipped away JaMychal Green, so I don't know who else they have in terms of bigs there. So right now, if Joakim Noah is in, I have him at 25 minutes, and then I put Ivan Robb at 28 because he'll be taking over some of the 4 minutes along with the 5. I'll have to break down more into Memphis's depth chart for the bigs. Avery Bradley, he just remains out. So again, fire up your Tyler Dorseys with more confidence and DeLon Wrights if that's where you're going. You're going to get out in Miami, so Miami long injury list here. Derrick Jones Jr. is out. He had been starting and seeing 20s, mid 20s in his minutes, so that's pretty big. Josh Richardson, Magruder, and Winslow all questionable today. So this is going to be a big factor for the slate. If you're somebody who wants to be playing Goran Dragic, who I have projected for 37 minutes today because in the 3 games without these guys, he hasn't seen below 37 minutes, and he's priced pretty nice if he's going to get 37 minutes at $6,800. You have to really have Justice Winslow and Josh Richardson out because then he'll continue to be the point guard. Same exact thing, it would impact Dion Waiters and Dwayne Wade. In terms of Derrick Jones Jr. being out, if indeed we also get Rodney McGruner out, I think that this does help James Johnson a little bit. He should get a lift in minutes. I think that it does help Dion Waiters in terms of he should get 34 minutes instead of 32, picking up some small forward minutes. And Kelly Olynyk should also get some minutes here as well. Well, we know he's going to get minutes, but an even bigger bump to his minutes. Taj Gibson is out today. Dario Saric and Anthony Tolliver will get bumps. Luol Deng, no real impact there. Frank Jackson, concussion, remains out. You're going to get Ian Clark to play 32 or so minutes, maybe even 34 minutes. He's not productive. He is 4,300, so he's one of those built-in values on this slate. But you can see right here, he's been getting 25-plus minutes, 30-plus minutes in the last 2 times out. He hasn't even combined to hit value in those games in terms of just point. He has combined to hit value. That's actually, I shouldn't say that because his price was down. But at $4,300, again, this is what I'm talking about in terms of the value. You get $4,300 Ian Clark when he should probably really be priced in the mid 3K range, even based on his minutes, since he is so unproductive. Anthony Davis is probable today. Anthony Davis is $6,500. So this is something to keep in mind. Probable is what they say. He's been probable the last 2 times and ruled out. I don't really put much of confidence into this New Orleans reporting. He could be very much scratch. But if Anthony Davis is going to play 21 minutes against Charlotte, who now is going to be relying on Hernan Gomez, Bismack Biyombo, and Frank Kaminsky as the 3 guys to stop any of these bigs on New Orleans, I like Anthony Davis in all formats at $6,500. If he plays 21 minutes, I'd be shocked if he doesn't get you 35 fantasy points in this matchup, and it would not shock me if he goes for 45. $6,500 on a slate like this, I'm very confident, or I feel very comfortable with the matchup at that price point. 21 minutes, I feel very confident in $6,500 not burning me. At the very least, if he gets you 30 fantasy points, it doesn't kill you, and I believe that's sort of like his floor in this matchup. So I do like Anthony Davis quite a bit. Dennis Smith Jr. and Kadeem Allen are out. Well, Dennis Smith Jr. is doubtful. Kadeem Allen is out. And Alonzo Trier is questionable. Either way, Emmanuel Mudiay should see around 34 minutes today. No Dotson, probably no Dennis Smith, or no Kadeem Allen, no Dennis Smith Jr., most likely no Dennis Smith Jr. This is going to give a huge bump. Those are 2 point guards. It's going to give a huge bump to a guy like Dennis Smith Jr. Even if Trier is in, that probably impacts a little bit more of Dotson instead of Emmanuel Mudiay. Mudiay is another guy who's in that mid 6K range who can have a 40-point game here. He's going to get all the opportunities to. A tough matchup for him. But I had at least like to target Orlando at the guards instead of the bigs. Mudiay, interesting play here. Should see the biggest bump from these guys being out. Noah Vonleh will remain out. You've seen Luke Cornett go off. What is Luke Cornett's price? He's probably in the mid 5K range now. Luke Cornett, still only $4,700. So here's a guy who kind of slipped through the cracks on this pricing. You can see he's had 2 huge games at low price points. Price has come up. I mean, 1,600 in 2 games, 600 since the last game. But he's going to get the run. They want to play the younger guys. It doesn't seem like DeAndre Jordan will be playing anymore this season, so that's all the run for Mitchell Robinson, who's another guy whose price is up $7,100. Luke Cornett, though, seems to be a guy who might draw some ownership, I'd imagine, at $4,700. Going to be playing 30 minutes at the 4. Tough matchup, though, so another spot that I don't love. But on a slate that is tightly priced and lacks real value, I think that it's pretty interesting. You're going to have Jimmy Butler, whose price is all the way up now to $7,900, questionable today. Joel Embiid remains out today, so just split up all those minutes between Boban, between Amir Johnson, and give the most minutes to Jonah Bolden. Jonah Bolden is at $5,000 now. He's seen 30 minutes or more in back-to-back games. Again, not the most productive player, but when you're trying to find some value, that's it right there, potentially in this pace-up spot. DeAndre Ayton remains out. You're going to get Richaun Holmes here, who played 24 minutes in the last game and hit value pretty easily. Richaun Holmes is now $5,200 in a tough matchup against Utah. Should start at the 5. Utah does give up points to the center position, though, so I don't hate that either. Tyler Johnson, TJ Warren remain out. CJ McCollum remain out. You're just going to get Booker playing more minutes at the point there. You're going to get DeAnthony Melton playing 20 minutes for Phoenix. McCollum being out, so Jake Layman will continue to start and play right around 20 minutes. Seth Curry will come off the bench quickly and play around 28 to 30. Danny Green is probable versus Brooklyn. OG and Anunoby is going to be out today. Derek Favors will be out today. Kyle Korver will be out today, so some things there. Jay Crowder should continue to fill in. He is probable today for Derek Favors, should continue to get the start. Has a very good matchup against Phoenix. He's only $4,900, one of the better values on this slate based on the matchup, based on the price point, and based on his locked-in minutes, which should be in the 30s today. Trevor Ariza has been, I believe, officially shut down for the year, so you should get 30-plus minutes out of Troy Brown Jr. Has not been fantastic by any means. If you want to just check the game logs on him, has not been fantastic by any means. He got 42 minutes in the last one, though. He played absolutely out of his mind for 42 minutes, but he got 42 minutes and got to 38 fantasy points. He's not a point-per-minute guy. You could see that based on the game logs. If you're going to get 40-plus minutes out of him, though, once again here, in a matchup against Chicago's G League squad, it's something to at least look at and definitely strongly consider. Dwayne Dedmon, just a reminder that he is done for the entire season. Holy crap, that was how many players that we just listed? 47 players on some sort of injury limit. Look, I'm not even going to highlight who should be where and what should be what. Just know that this is a very crazy slate, 12-game slate. Just know that you have to be at your desk ready to work until 7 p.m. and then even after. Have your alerts on after because players can be ruled out all throughout the night. There's 3 10 o'clock starts or later. A lot of things we won't know going into it. This is not a slate where I would even entertain playing on FanDuel. Draftkings, I probably will enter some single entries here. Cash games are actually very viable today based on the fact that people won't know how to build their cash lineups. They won't adjust to news that happens after lock. You can get a lot of easy wins today. Just know there's a ton of news, and this is just the beginning of it. It's going to be an avalanche. So look at your phone, check the injury updates, come back to your workstation or wherever you want to be around 5 or 6 o'clock, and then start to build lineups. Do not build lineups at noon or 1. If you want to do it for fun, just know that those lineups will not be viable come 7 p.m. Just know that if you're entering them into DraftKings and putting money in, to definitely change them. This is going to be one of the craziest slates that we have seen. Let's move over to the target offense sheet. Hit me with a thumbs up if you're still here and you made it through that laundry list. Biggest target offense sheet we have ever had. I've never covered a 12-game slate. I've only ever covered an 11-game slate. So with that being said, I'm not going to be going through all 12 of these teams. If I had somebody else here, like on the Awesemo channel, and I can talk about it for 2 hours, I would. I can't talk about it for 2 hours. Well, I could, but I don't think a single person would be watching this if I had a 2-hour video uploaded. But a couple things I'll just talk about high level based on strategy for this slate. We just saw a couple players who are potentially value. You have a Luke Cornett at 4,700. You have a Jay Crowder at 4,900. Some other players in there. Goran Dragic's at 6,800 if indeed we get all of those Miami guys out. Let's check price points on Dion Waiters is now 6K, so that's just holy crap. And Dwayne Wade is 66. Dion Waiters being 6K, yeah, he's been playing big minutes, he's been playing well, but that is just absolutely insane. That is how this slate is just breaking down and turning right now. I just want to look at this. This is what I'm talking about in terms of how this slate is so priced up. So you have the normal guys in their 10K range, right? Been playing good. Lillard right around there. Drummond is now priced up. Vooch is now appropriately priced for a very good matchup against New York. Ben Simmons priced up to 9,500 in a very juicy spot. You have all these guys priced up. Russell is now over 9K, which he should be. He should be playing now 33 minutes or more in every game due to the fact that they need to make the playoffs. Tons of guys priced up. Luka probably the only guy not overpriced in this range. I'm continuing to go down. I'm seeing guys. Rudy Gobert finally in a decent spot, or he has a phenomenal matchup today, but he's finally at least priced up. We're used to seeing him right around 8K. Now he's 8,500. So you're getting to this range right here. Siakam 8K with a healthy team. That's hard to get to. If Butler plays 7,900, yes, I know Embiid's out, but that's hard to get to for Butler. Capella priced up to 7,700. Look, I know I'm just hitting on every single player here, but it's just Miles Turner 7,300. These guys are just all priced up, and we haven't seen this. Mitchell Robinson 7K. Thomas Bryant is $7,000 today. It's just tough to really build a lineup that you feel confident about if you want to roster any of these guys really above 10K. Above 10K, I haven't built a lineup, but I'd even argue maybe even above 9,500. There's going to be a ton of people who try and fit in today a Booker or whoever. And then they're going to have to be forced to go down here and choose from dust. Now, I think there's some plays that make sense. And look at this, $4,700 Lamont Jr. here is just absolutely ridiculous. Like they just aggressively priced the heck out of this guy. Look, he's playing great minutes. He had some great starts based on his price. But now if he's $4,700 and gets you 22 fantasy points, it's not winning you anything. It's not doing much for you. I think Luke Cornett in this range makes some sense, right? And I think a lot of people are also going to realize that and jump on him. I think Jay Crowder makes a lot of sense, matchup with Phoenix. This kind of scares you, 25 points, 25 minutes, 5 points, but I wouldn't look at that one sample. Lots of things right here that make you a little bit more excited about Jay Crowder, but the fact that he comes off the bench and gets a usage bump when he's with the second unit feels a lot better than running alongside Rudy Gobert. Trey Burke has even been priced up to about 5K. I think he still offers value if Luka is indeed out. Lots of things here that I do not like. Troy Brown at 4,900 is interesting. There's just a lot of dust opportunities for players who can score 15 to 20 fantasy points in these ranges. I would much rather not play the Devin Booker today. I would much rather come down and make my high-priced guy, and I'll just look at this super quickly. Maybe it's a Luka. Maybe I don't even get up that high. Maybe I just stay, you know what, instead of a Luka, I will go and I'll start my lineups with a Rudy Gobert and see where I can build from there. Set sort of a cap on the pricing to see if you can build a more balanced lineup, because I think the 6K range offers a ton of awesome plays today, especially the 7K range. I love Mitchell Robinson still. I do like Goran Dragic if everybody's out. I'm just looking at this quickly. I think DeLon Wright's a fantastic play today. And there's a lot more that goes into it. I think 6,400 Bam is too cheap even against Boston. I think Bobby Portis at 6,300 offers some big upside. Christian Wood is $6,300. Holy shit. I haven't even seen this yet. Look, he should be priced up. He's been playing fantastic, but this is aggressive, 6,300. If Anthony Davis plays, Anthony Davis, I don't believe, played in either of these three games where Christian Wood went off. If Davis plays, I imagine Wood's minutes go from the upper 20s limits to the mid to low 20s. They just have to be taken from somewhere. They're not going to automatically limit Julius Randle of more than 32 minutes or less than 32 minutes just randomly because Christian Wood's playing well. I mean, they can, but I don't see it coming. You still have Chet Diallo and Okafor at least accounting for a total of 20 minutes back there. That doesn't leave much for Wood to sort of soak up. It leaves him pretty much like 20 to 25 minutes. And that's if they're already pulling minutes off of Diallo. So $6,300 Wood seems like a very dusty play today. But again, the guy has 50-point upside. We've seen it. This is just the pricing. I just wanted to talk about it. It's absolutely ridiculous. There's not a ton to like. You have Bruno Caboclo at 6K. Disgusting. I really like Tomas Satoransky at 5,900 though. That's actually pretty interesting. A guy who's going to get a ton of minutes. Karis LeVert, do not sleep on him. 5,800. He's been seeing around 30 minutes. He's been shooting a ton better as of late. Just a ton of really tough plays to get to. I think that Reggie Jackson at 5,600 offers some upside. Alex Len should continue to start against no Joel Embiid at 5,500 makes sense. So when you're coming down here, Rashawn Holmes 5,200 makes sense. You're coming down here, you find some plays that make sense, But do they allow you to get up to 1 to 2 of these guys? I don't know. I haven't built a lineup. I'm just going to guess no. You probably have to find a 4 to 3K player, and those guys just aren't really there right now for me. So I think the slate stinks right now. I think that it's going to be, though, difficult for a ton of people to really feel confident, and I think that's where you can take advantage of people playing today, especially at lower stakes, because they're going to be building awful lineups today. And if you actually put the work in, you keep up with the news, you'll be building automatically better lineups than them. This is the slates where you can't just go based off projections that were earlier in the day or even middle of the day, because news is going to change up until and after lock, and that's where you can win a lot of money today. So just pointing out some things, and I'm not going to spend a ton of time here because this is a huge slate. You have right here Atlanta and Philly. The pace is around 108. We know that anything over 105 is very juicy. 108. So where do you look to in this Atlanta and Philly game? Look, Ben Simmons is probably the best overall play in this game against Atlanta guards. We saw Derek White yesterday just break out of a total slump where he's been playing terrible, and he went for 35 fantasy points as if nothing changed. He's gone for 50 against them this year. We've seen guys go for 50 bombs just on a regular basis against Atlanta that have no business going for a 50 bomb. Ben Simmons has done it this year, I believe, on multiple occasions. Tyler Johnson has done it this year. Pretty much Atlanta's terrible against the guard position. I think JJ Redick is okay today, but I don't like playing a guy who ranks number 1 in terms of the highest percentage of his fantasy points coming from pure scoring. That's not great. You have to be streaky. You have to be pretty much scoring 30 real points to hit any sort of value. So Ben Simmons, in terms of pay-up options on this slate, yeah, I'd love to get to Harden. I'd love to get to Towns. I'd love to get to Booker today. All those guys have 70-point real upside. But in terms of pay-up options, based on where our value lies right now, Ben Simmons is probably my favorite pay-up option at $9,500 with no Joel Embiid. And if there's no Jimmy Butler, even bump him even more for me. The pace is great. These totals, I'd say 60% of these totals weren't out yet. But I looked at OddsShark, which is usually pretty close. They project totals, 240 total here. If that's anywhere near close, and they're usually within 1 or 2 or so, this game's going to be a track meet. Love Ben Simmons here. In terms of any other Philly players, if Jimmy Butler's in, he gets a little bit of a nod. I think Tobias Harris is too cheap. This pace-up spot's going to help him a ton. He should see maybe a few 5 minutes here. $7,500. That's that 7 to 6K range. If you just build a totally balanced lineup, I think Tobias Harris is a guy that you have to have in there just due to the upside. Going to play 36, 37 minutes today. I think I have him in for 36. Against Atlanta, it's a nice spot. On the Atlanta side of the ball, let me look at something. So Alex Len is still $5,500. John Collins is $7,300, so that's actually pretty nice in terms of building a balanced lineup if you wanted to go that route. And Trae Young is $8,400. I'm interested in all of them. In a game like this, look, there's 12 games on the slate. In terms of stacking a game, I don't think it's viable on a 12-game slate. I don't think it's necessary unless you're entering a ton of lineups and you're trying to capture some overtime games. If you're entering one lineup or just a few, I wouldn't try to game stack a single game on this slate. Atlanta side of the ball, look, Alex Len at $5,500 still makes sense to me. No Joel Embiid. John Collins at $7,300. That's a nice price. He's not injured. He just rested. And $8,400 for Trae Young. I'd rather pay $400 more and get to Luka, the real rookie of the year, but it's still fine. My favorite play out of this game is Ben Simmons. If I had to rank Philly, it'd be Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, Joel Bolden. If I had to rank Atlanta, it would be, this one's tough. Big pace-up spot for both teams. Philly's gaining almost 4 possessions. Atlanta gains about 2 here. If I had to rank Atlanta here, it'd probably be based on the context of the slate not having a ton of real value. Alex Len 1. Number 2, I'd go John Collins. Number 3. And this is if Taurean Prince is in, so you're going to get a lot less value from Justin Anderson and people like that. So I would go Alex Len. I would then go John Collins, and then I would go Trae Young. So that's the fastest paced matchup on this slate. Another game that actually matters a ton here. Another game that, in terms of playoffs, matters, and it should be a pretty nice game. You can see indicated by the 1-point spread. The 1-point spread leans me to believe that a guy like Kawhi Leonard is going to be out today. Maybe he rests. Is that what they're projecting? Because I don't think Toronto is a 1.5 point favorite on most nights against Brooklyn. Brooklyn just doesn't have the firepower. Toronto, obviously, the 2 seed. Brooklyn battling to just be in the playoffs. So this leads me to believe, at least early on, that somebody's going to be out. Will it be Kyle Lowry and Kawhi? If that's the case, Siakam at 8K becomes a fantastic play against this Brooklyn team. Brooklyn, you attack with the bigs. So I don't really feel comfortable attacking them with either Marc Gasol or Serge Ibaka, but Ibaka's price might be favorable today. Ibaka's $6,200. No, that's tough. and then Marcus Saul. I think I said Thomas Bryant. Marcus Saul 5,900. It's tough to get to either of those guys when you don't know which one's going to play 25 to 30 minutes and which one's going to play 18 to 22 minutes. So it's really tough for me to get to anything on the Toronto side. All their prices are up. If indeed we get news that Kawhi Leonard is resting or Kyle Lowry is resting, and he's not playing really his minutes right now. He's still not playing in the 30s. If those guys are resting, give me all the Siakam I can handle at $8,000. I think that's more than fair. On the other side, in terms of Brooklyn, D'Angelo Russell is now $9,100. Outside of that, Karis LeVert offers some value at $5,800, playing extremely well as of late. Dinwiddie also always in play, but outside of really nothing in this game I'm interested in unless we get news on players resting, then I would be more interested in the Toronto side. It's tough to get to. It's one of the better paced games on the slate, one of the better totals, one of the better real games on the slate. It's just tough to get to in terms of pricing, which is becoming a trend for this overall slate. Let's quickly hit on Orlando and New York because this also has playoff implications for Orlando. They need to win, and they have a very good chance. That is a 12.5-point favorite. The pace in this game is absolutely disgusting, below 100. The total is 212.5. New York has 100-point total. They almost went below 100 here. Disgusting. A lot of that is because Orlando's defense is actually very, very good. The pace overall is terrible. Orlando plays slow. New York's around league average in pace, so it's just going to be a slower game. Can't believe that it's 100 in 2019-2018 season, that you're getting a 100 pace total, 100-point total for New York. That being said, I have interest in the New York side. $7,100 Mitchell Robinson isn't the greatest thing in the world against Vooch, but he's going to play, I believe I have right now 35 minutes in for him today. He's averaging 4.5 blocks a game over the NBA season, over his 36 minutes. So I really like him today at 7,100. Even though his price is up, he gets interest for me. If you're building a balanced lineup, he's a guy that you can throw in there and feel good. Luke Cornett at $4,700, still a ridiculously tough matchup for him. Has the worst matchup on the slate. I tend to try and go elsewhere. I think a lot of people will jump on those past two 40-point games, but there's also some merit there. He's a guy who will shoot, and he's been playing well. $4,700 on a slate like today, it might be worth a look, although just keep in mind he has the hardest matchup at his position today against Orlando. Moutier, I do like Moutier today. If there's one spot to sort of feel comfortable against Orlando, it's against Michael Carter-Williams. It's against DJ Augustine at the point. Moutier, I have him in for 34 minutes. I really wouldn't be shocked if he plays 36 minutes today, 37 minutes today. If Trier is out, there's really nobody that can really back up him. We're not expecting Kadeem Allen's already ruled out. We're not expecting Dennis Smith Jr. to play. I like Moutier a good amount. He's another guy in that mid 6K range that if you're building a balanced lineup, he's a point guard you could feel good about getting his minutes. Can't go over everybody today, right? I'll touch on some other points just on some spots that I feel good about. Houston's taking on the Clippers. Clint Capella's price is up to $7,700. It's the late night hammer. He has one of the best matchups on this entire slate. I do like targeting Clint Capella if you have the salary left over. I'm not prioritizing it though. Some more spots on the slate. Memphis against Portland. I do like Tyler Dorsey at his price of $4,800. He's one of the better or more secure value plays in my opinion with no Mike Conley. And I think $6,500 DeLon Wright. Yes, the price has come up, but he's been playing extremely well without Mike Conley on the floor. And you can kind of expect a 34-minute game out of him, if not more. I have him at 35 minutes today. On the Utah side of the ball, you can target them anywhere you want against Phoenix. Phoenix defense is absolutely putrid. You can go to Ricky Rubio. His price is up, though. I think Jay Crowder at $4,900 makes a lot of sense. And I think Rudy Gobert. Those are my two favorite plays from this game. It would be number one, Rudy Gobert at $8,500, who's been playing out of his mind as of late, just playing so consistently, so good, mid to high 40s in fantasy points, pretty much over the whole last week of the year. At $8,500, I do like that. And then Jay Crowder at $4,900 offers a lot of good value. He has the 30-point upside in his back pocket. He should play 30 minutes. I have him in at 31, I believe, today. He got injured in the last game and came out. He was playing dreadful in that game, but there's no real better matchup. He has the best matchup on the entire slate, a virtual tie with Chicago today for the power forward position. We can talk about Chicago and Washington quickly. Look, this game's ugly. Thomas Bryant's 7K. It's really something that's hard to get to. Chicago's side of the ball, the power forward position today is in a very good spot. Who will that power forward be? I have no idea. They're running out guys, multiple guys named Sampson. They're running out guys named Atkins or Alkins. Not really much on Chicago that I want. I think Wayne Selden, his price is down and he should play big minutes. He's not a productive point per minute guy. I think that $4,700 Lamont Jr. is still in play. As of right now, I'm hoping we get more news. $4,700 Lamont Jr. Very well has the 30-point upside still. Should be seeing 30-plus minutes. I think I already touched on Shaq Harrison at 6,300, probably going to be the best player on this team, which scares the hell out of me. What is Robin Lopez price? Because he should be seeing 30-plus minutes against a very bad Robin Lopez. So here's an interesting play. Robin Lopez, minutes have been all over the place as of late, but he's going to be $5,100 against a poor rebounding Washington team. I've mentioned it before. They've been better since acquiring Bobby Portis and Jabari Parker, but a poor rebounding Washington team nonetheless. Robin Lopez at $5,100 becomes another nice value play. I would actually consider playing him now that I see that a little bit more based on where the slate is right now. That's all I'll touch on. Touched on half the games maybe. There's a lot there to talk about. There's a lot to digest. Just the biggest thing is the news. I can't confidently, and that's why you'll see this. Early interests are not filled out. I'm not even going to entertain the fact of giving early interests. There's 24 teams on this slate. If I try to give you early interest, I would name 30 players, and out of those 30 players, there's a real chance that I would still only be interested in like 5 or 10 by the time I build lineups. I don't know what lineup construction looks like. I know that salaries are really priced either appropriately or overpriced. Draftkings was very aggressive with the salaries today, so I'm not even going to try and give you guys early interest and girls because I haven't just done it. I haven't built any lineups. I haven't had the time to, and everything is going to change. This entire slate should change. We'll probably get 5 to 7 injuries that we weren't expecting that will open up value. At least I'm hoping, because right now the value is lacking. The value in the low 4K range is non-existent in my opinion. There's none in the 3K range that exist. Upper 4K range, there's some, but there's a lot of guys that don't have great things. Luke Cornett has an awful matchup. He's been playing really well. Awful matchup at $4,700, and I imagine a lot of people flock to it. Jay Crowder, I imagine a lot of people flock to that at $4,900. Has a fantastic matchup, but is his usage, is his production hurt? Is that one game sample something we shouldn't look at? I don't think we should look at it, but should we take away, or I don't think we should factor it or weigh it too heavily, but should we take away that since he was with the starters and guys who have much more usage in Rudy Gobert, in a Donovan Mitchell, in a Ricky Rubio, did that hurt his usage and production? I would lean yes. Lots of guys in that range who scare me. Troy Brown Jr. has been playing absolutely dreadful all year, but he's been seeing big minutes the last 2 times out. Trevor Ariza is now shut down for the year. Another guy in that high 4 to 5, low 5K range. That makes sense. We just discovered Robin Lopez, $5,100. Makes a lot of sense if we can get secure 30-plus minutes out of him against Washington today. But look, it's a tough slate for me to recommend any players based on the fact that I don't know if I could even get to them in a lineup. Paying up seems tough as of right now. I'm going to try and build balanced lineups if we don't get no more news, which I highly doubt. But that's it. That's what I'm going to end you guys and girls with. It's a crazy slate. That's pretty obvious. I'm probably going to go live just to chat as this uploads. So if you caught that, cool. If not, then I'll answer any questions. A lot here. This will be on Twitter. This will be in the Discord. Again, before I leave, if you could hit me with a thumbs up, and if you can go over to Twitter and just try and help me out here. If I can get this type of job and this to be my career while making videos on the side, I will be the happiest person in the world. Projections for everybody. You get a projection. You get a projection. You get a projection. Everybody. Oprah. Sal Oprah. Oprah Vetri. But yeah. All right. Jokes are done. My name's Sal. You already know that. Best of luck, everybody, today. Crazy slate. Have fun maybe in the baseball if you don't want to handle this. I get it. My name's Sal. Peace out.